push him up against the. I'm gonna push him up against the. I'm gonna push him up against the. So at the end of that last episode, I asked the question, should I focus my night's efforts, the rest of my day's efforts, on searching for the tax collector? Or just relaxing and socializing and spending most of my efforts on learning about where I am, the people that are in this trade house, getting to know Ariel and the people and the denizens of his trade house. Because I'm the type of person, this is my environment. This is my environment. I strive in places like this, so I feel like I should make it a goal of mine to get acquainted and situated. Because unlike any playthrough I've ever done in Morrowind on console or PC or what have you, I never really spent much time in Seyda Neen. Balmoral was always the place I loved to go to first. But as someone who in real life barely moves, and I'm talking about from, state to state, I could totally see me spending some time in Seyda Neen for a while, making this my home base. I don't have anywhere to, they want me to meet with Kai's Casadis. Depending on how that goes, I may move to Balmoral. But the type of character that Callanan Garpy is, Callanan Garp, gets you in the dark. I was working on that. I'm trying to think of a motto or something. I don't know. Garpy identifies that there is a need, there is an ask. He is needed, or else they wouldn't have brought him out. They wouldn't have brought him out of prison or, into Morrowind. So he's going to do what he can to get his footing first and foremost. I'm going to do what I can to get a footing first. Now, Tristen Serelvan here is also thinking what I'm kind of thinking, just because of the type of character I am. Tristen says, I don't know about your character, but in my mind, it makes more sense to stay at the trade house and make connections. You might even find information there. After all, the case of the tax collector will likely take you into the wilderness, and you don't want to get lost in the wilderness at dark. It is getting dark. And yes, there's a possibility that the case of the tax collector will take me into the wilderness, because in canon, Morrowind, his body's out there. But just because of the nature of how I'm playing the game, I am totally open to an alternative ending to all of this. I don't want to turn it completely upside down, but I have more flexibility here with my role playing than just choosing dialogue options and quest trails that were in the static version of the game. And there's a possibility that this could take me much farther. Hopefully not, but who knows? Who knows? That's what's great about Mythic RPG. It's all based on your imagination. I would more than likely stay in the trade house to what Tristen is saying, because my character is, look, if you forgot, because I made that. Let me take a look. Look, this is my character sheet. I am exceptional at speechcraft. I'm just as good, if not a little less probably. I have high mercantile and hand-to-hand ability. Above average block, medium armor, and short blade. And above average is on the scale of what everyone in this world is capable of. The average person, I'm above them. I'm above average of the average person's ability to block, medium armor, and short blade, and what have you. So just look at it that way. On a scale of, think of scale of 1 to 10, and with exceptional being, I think, an 8. just about, because it gets higher than that. But after exceptional, you're getting into awesome, and then after awesome, it's superhuman. So that's like, you know, we're talking God level tier, God tier. So there really isn't many. There shouldn't be a large enough population that is in the upper percentile of those who are good with speechcraft. That's my specialty. So using that to my advantage, just like I did in my last game, my last load, you know, I used a combination of my speechcraft and my mercantile to flip, barter, and trade and woo to make money into more money. Traded something, sold it to another person for more, flipped that, all within this trade house, because I'm pretty sure I received an exceptional roll. An exceptional role, and that was big. I'm more inclined, I'm thinking I might end up hiring a search party. I don't know if I'm going to go out in that wilderness. I might be able to influence people and encourage people, because it's right. There's a person missing, you know. But I'm gonna ask around, but I'm essentially gonna do both. But shout out to Tristen. I'm gonna take Tristen's advice. I'm gonna stay inside, and I'm gonna get to know people. So I'm at Auriel's Trade House, the only shop in Seyda Neen, located by the bridge in the center of town. There is a bar upstairs. And I like to believe that people come to the trade house to you know, spend their time relaxing, negotiating, trading, socializing, because it is the only place like that in town, and it has a bar. So I imagine that all of the people that were in the original game are going to be in here tonight, in addition to some NPCs that may have never existed but would come here, that will be created out of just the natural flow of the game. And it's going to be pretty live. It's not going to be like a full out rowdy bar. There is a level of respect that there's going to be a tone here, because this is where business is conducted. And I don't think Auriel himself would allow things to get too crazy. So what I expect in this trade house tonight are people. My goal is to come in here, learn about the people, and I'm also going to investigate the missing tax collector that Ergala had mentioned. And time is of the essence in regards to that. I'm going to actually make that probably... I'm going to make it less of a priority. So depending on what I learn, there's a possibility that I'll learn something that's so significant that I might be able to find him sooner. But it's not going to be my priority. And that's just going to be out of the selfishness of Callanan Garpy's heart. Respect to Ergala, but he's not depending on me right now. And I personally could care less about this tax collector. So that's what I'm expecting in this trade house. I'm going to go ahead and generate a scene. Will anything change about what I'm expecting? No. It's exactly how I thought it would be. I will be looking for Elone. Elone is a person that is a scout that was recommended to me. That will be one of my major objectives, is to talk to her. Because she's going to give me directions to Balmora. Just so I can gauge how far it is from here. I know that there is a silt strider outside, so hopefully it's not too far to the point where I need to take a silt strider. I think I could walk it. Is my character the type of person to walk it though? No, I think I'm too high class for that, honestly. Even though I could defend myself in the wilderness, I feel like that's above me. That's the type of character I'm going for. You know, like Jabba the Hutt is not going to walk. if he doesn't have to. So I'll still ask alone. I'll still see if I can get directions just so I have an idea. So there's 7 NPCs that's in this building in the default game, right? I want to talk to all of them tonight. This scene that's happening is going to be conducted with these NPCs. And I'm even going to roll to see how many additional NPCs, just to spice things up. How many additional NPCs, how many additional people are in this building? Just to kind of gauge here. I'm gonna roll a D10. How many strolled in tonight? 4. Okay. I spot a dark elf woman, Talvis Othralen, a dark elf commoner. She's wearing a common shirt with matching pants, skirt, shoes, and ring. Okay, she looks nice. She looks nice. What is she doing right now? Assist / a representative. She's assisting someone with something. Is she tending? Does she have a table or something that she's trading? I'm gonna say very likely. Yeah. Is there someone looking at her wares and she's like assisting? She's her own representative representing her business. She's assisting them with what they're looking at. I'm gonna say very likely. Definitely. Yes, and she's doing a damn good job about it. What exactly does it look like she's selling? Medicine. I'm gonna go over and I'm just gonna ask her some questions about her wares with an exceptional speech. I'm going to greet her. I'm a stranger, but we're in a trade house, and I know I ran into her earlier when I was going around. Did I run into her earlier when I was going around? Did I see her out and about, or did she see me out and about? I'm gonna say somewhat likely. Yeah. So I'm not a complete stranger. It's not abnormal for me to approach her, and with the exceptional greeting, I'm gonna greet her. I'm gonna say, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Dark Elf. Good evening, Dunmer. I see you're faring well today.
Under sun and sky, Outlander, we greet you warmly.
I was successful. Random event, PC positive, player character positive, neglect / outside. The way she responds to my greeting flows right into her sales approach. But that goes to show you that she's very comfortable with me. So what she says is, I greet her and she says, pretty much I'm doing well. And she tells me not to neglect my safety when I go outside, not to neglect the fact that it's dangerous out there, and don't neglect my safety by leaving without buying any, pain medicine. Don't neglect that pain that wound that you got from outside. I don't have a wound, but it's her sales pitch, right? And that's what I'm thinking. She said she went right into a sales pitch. She's very nice. What else did she say? Bestow / anger. She makes mention to, how she felt about that altercation that happened earlier, and she also has anger for that person that came in here acting like that, because it wasn't the first time. And I use that because I don't want to buy anything, but I do use that as a way to continue the conversation away from buying anything. But I tell her, I said, people, they need to learn their place. And I say it very like they need to know their place. And then I correct myself. I say, or I course correct, and I say, in line. I ask her if she lives in Seyda Neen. Does she live in Seyda Neen? Very likely. Yeah. What's she say? She says passion / enemies. She's very passionate about her business and what she has accomplished here, her life, and that she has no enemies. She has no enemies in this town.
So much to do, so little time.
Does she, are you here alone is what I asked? Are you here alone? I'm going to say unlikely. No, she's not here alone. Oh. You run this business all by yourself? All by yourself? I want to say somewhat likely. Yeah, she says yeah. What, just at a glance, does it look like some pretty exotic stuff on her table? 50-50. No. I mean, and I don't have much of an eye, so that don't really mean anything. But I asked her, are all these plants from this local area, like from around here? I'm gonna say very likely. Yes, they are. In fact, all of them are. And the majority of them are here. Is that what she says? What'd she say? Release/magic. She releases little scamps into the wild to collect her ingredients for her. Are there any near here now that I can see? Very unlikely. No. And she says that RL doesn't allow her to bring those little critters in here. Do you have a monopoly? I asked her, do you have a monopoly on the medication around here as far as ingredients wise? Because that's pretty awesome what you're doing. That's a pretty clever method. That's an efficient method. Do you have a monopoly on just medication around here? I'm gonna say very likely. Yes, and it's accepted. It's accepted. People are okay with that. That's what she's known for. That's why she's so passionate. Is that the case? People accept it? Very likely. Yeah.
Walk in the light in the spirit's names.
Tolvis Othralen. Using my mercantile of high, I'm going to suggest that maybe we do business. Maybe we can do business sometime. I specialize in business and I can making things happen. I share some, business mumbo jumbo, business talk that pretty much explains how I could potentially make her job more lucrative just by networking. Using my mercantile skill of high versus her probably mercantile skill. I'm gonna roll potency. I don't want to assume anymore. I'm just gonna roll potency. What's her potency when it comes to mercantile? Minimum. And probably the lowest I've seen so far. She's not the greatest trader, so she has a lot to learn. But it's good to know. I'm not here to swindle her out of anything. But using my mercantile and now this conversation, what I'm saying probably sounds really really great to her, being that she's so unskilled. So my exceptional versus her, she's probably, I'm going to say, below average. That's the minimum. I mean, it could be low, but then, yeah, let's say low. She has the minimum. Maybe she just started doing this. I don't know. But everything that I'm saying probably sounds great, And that's the point of it. I want to sweeten the whistle here. If that's the term that's used. Sweeten the pie. By making it sound like I have a vision, and I do. I'm Callanan Garpy. This is what I do. I do have a vision. Is it in her best interests? Probably, but definitely mine. Am I successful in convincing her and sharing my business ideas with her? Is she on board with the mercantile of exceptional versus hers of low? Now, if I was trying to lie to her, to deceive her, we would use her intelligence, which is likely higher than low. Maybe not. But since I'm not trying to deceive her, this is strictly mercantile versus mercantile. Yes. Yes. So, does she, she's totally on board. In fact, what exactly does she say? She's on board, but what does she say? Attract/travel. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if we do proceed, travelers from all around would definitely be attracted to Seyda Neen. Definitely. You have all the plants here in the region, all the healing plants. Surely it will attract a lot of people. I agree. She sounds like she's on board. She sounds like she sees the vision. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Tell me more about yourself. How many of your families here? I need to know. Who else is in this business, if anyone, other than her? Or is your family in your business too? Does your family help you run your business? I may have already asked that, but I don't remember. I'm going to say very likely. Yeah. All of them? 50-50. Yeah. I'm going to roll 1d6. This is how many family members she has. 6. Okay. So 6. Wow. And with your scamps, doing all of the legwork, that probably leaves so much productivity time for you and your people, behind the scenes. What exactly do they do? That's what I'm wondering. So let me slow down. What's the most important part of your job? Vengeance/joy. So she's telling me that there's some physicality involved. And joy. Is there someone that's threatening you? And you have your most important part of your job is keeping them off your back? Is there someone threatening you? Someone, likely. Yeah. And I'm assuming a relative is enjoying keeping them off of your back? Very likely. Yes, event. Overindulge/opulence. So because you have a monopoly on all of the plants here, there are people that have an issue with that. Okay? And you have a family member. Is it just one that handles that? Unlikely. No. Do the rest of them handle that? Very likely. Or likely. Yeah. So Tolvice, Othralen, the Othralens, it's just her running. I guess she handles the sales, and the rest of them are just there to keep her safe. Is that the case? Yeah. Do you have issues with people in this town? Somewhat likely. Yes, but it's expected. It's a highly competitive town. It's a very competitive town. That's the norm. Is that the case? That's the normal? Somewhat likely. Definitely. I'm going to switch over to black magic for my percentage questions. But I just want to make sure I understand here that everything. She has issues with people in the town, but for the most part, the people that are threatened are they from within Seyda Neen? I'm gonna say very likely. Are they in this trade house? Do they do business in this trade house? Very likely. Yes. So, of all the NPCs in here, one of them in here that, you know, they all trade, but we're going to roll and figure, and there's going to be one of them that is the one that has beef with Thelvice. There's some wars here, and they have to all trade under the same building. Yet Auril has managed to keep the peace under this roof. Maybe they fight and, you know, all that goes on out. Let me ask this, because I can respect that. You know, the trade where the trading takes place, keep that out of here. But have they ever caused you problems while under this roof? Is what I ask. I'm gonna say 50-50. Yes. What does she say? Block / the innocent. They try to turn people away from her table. Well, where are any of her relatives here in here? Somewhat likely. Yeah. All of them? Unlikely. Yeah. Okay. Are they looking at me like you asking a lot of questions? Very likely. Yeah. Well, with the speechcraft of exceptional, I want to commend them on their hustle. Their hustle here.
What are you gawking at?
Difficulty, I'll say, is average. It's not hard to give a compliment. I commend them on their hustle. Yeah. I asked her with the speechcraft of high. I asked her to, you know, hey, you know, who's giving you issues? Is there anybody that I need to worry about? Who's giving you issues? With an exceptional speechcraft. I'm gonna say the difficulty of this might be above average because that's personal. Who's giving you issues? No matter how kind and nice that I'm saying it, this is a very touchy topic. Does she tell me? Very unlikely. No, because it's probably just gonna cause conflict under this roof. Out of respect for Auril.
Not today.
I'm going to try again. With the speechcraft of exceptional, I say there's ways to handle these types of things. With a combination of my mercantile, I'm going to give myself a +1 because I'm bringing mercantile in here. Matter of fact, I'm going to approach this from a mercantile standpoint. So I'm going to say high with the high mercantile +1 for my speechcraft. I say, you know, there's ways of handling situations like this, and it's normal what they're doing, you know, in trade. It's an aggressive trade area, I see. But that can be bad business, and I can make this better for everyone. I can figure this out. I can help. I even loop in, you know, the brother who's listening. I say, look. What they're doing is wrong. It's a practice, but it's not something that has to stay that way. While you're all fighting out on the coast and outside of this building, that's fine. But anything like that happening under this roof that's bad for business. I might be able to assist and kind of smoothen things out. All I need to know is who's causing the issue. With the mercantile of high +1. I'm going to leave the difficulty at above average. Do they tell me who's causing the issue?
All right, we can talk.
Exceptional, yes.
If you think it's safe.
So there's a total of 7 NPCs in here, plus, you know, some fodder, some crowd. Some of them, we'll just say it's her family. All right. We'll just say that number I rolled earlier are her family members. There's 6 of them though. One of them, I'm gonna roll a d6 and figure out which one of these is her rival, Tolvice's rival. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna roll a d6. Which one is her rival? 4. Raflod the Braggart. Another scout. So she says Raflod the Braggart. So that's her that's her rival, and they're beefing out there, and he stops people from coming into her shop. Interesting. Well, you know, I'll talk with Raflod. Don't worry, you didn't hear I didn't hear this from you. It's just maybe an observation that I made. I'm going to talk to him and see what I can do. I'm going to see what I can do. Hey, by chance, have you heard any rumors? I ask her, have you heard any rumors around here? No, anything else I should know about? Nah. Raflod aside, look, we don't got to talk about Raflod. Don't want you to worry about Raflod. I tell them, don't worry about Raflod. There's so many other things you could be focusing on as opposed to defending yourself while you're gathering crops. We're going to get that taken care of. But any other rumors around here? She tells me, my cousin claimed he saw a city in the water near Gnar. He's a drunkard though, and spends too much time in the sun. Is her cousin at the bar right now in this trade house? Very likely. Yeah. I can hear him from here. Are there cities in the water around here that you know of? Are there cities in the water that she knows of? 50-50. Yeah. Is it the one that her cousin told her about? Very likely. Yeah. Do you believe him? You know, he's a drunkard. Do you believe him? Unlikely. No. I laugh. Do y'all believe him? Look, I look at her brothers. Do y'all believe him though? Do they believe him? Unlikely. No. Sounds like a great guy. Sounds like a great guy. Well, look, stay safe, y'all. You know, be careful out there picking those. It's a shame that your scamps are being attacked. I'm gonna take care of that. Don't worry about that. Does she seem to find comfort in my semi-promise? Likely. No. She actually looks she probably feels nervous about it. Probably shouldn't. Does it look like she regrets telling me? Somewhat likely. Yeah. What about the brothers? Do they look the same? Likely. Yeah. Raflod got them shook. Tolvice Othralens' rival, Raflod the Braggart, is a threat to her business outside of the trade house. He frightens business away from them as well, which is bad. And yeah, it's a shame that, I can't blame them. It's business. That's their business outside, what they're doing outside. But it's a shame that it's disrespectful to Ariel for Raflod to be sending business away from her table. It's not fair. Because she's not going to do anything. The thing is, this is supposed to be handled discreetly. We don't want Ariel to know about this, to her wishes, to her family's wishes. So I'll keep that in mind. You know what? Before I leave, have you seen a tax collector? I don't recall his name. Do I recall? I really don't remember his name. I'm going to roll to see if I remember his name. My intelligence is average. With an average intelligence and the difficulty of remembering this dude's name, I'm going to say is high. Do I remember this person's name? outside of just tax collector? Do I remember his name? No. So I say the tax collector. It's a tax collector that the Sergala at the excise office is looking for. Have you seen a tax collector around here? I was told that he was last seen at the trade house. Has she seen a tax collector? 50, somewhat likely. Has she seen a tax collector? Yes. Is she able to give me any information that could lead me to find, getting closer to? Does she know where he went, or does she know where he went outside of here? Is he here? Well, does she know where he? Does she know where he went? 50-50. Actually, I'm gonna say unlikely. Definitely doesn't. She doesn't know anything about him. Well, how long ago was he here? Was he here today? Was he here today? Likely. Yes. Random event, NPC action, persecute / home. Which character? Which NPC? Existing character. Is it Ariel saying? Is Ariel saying something? Or is she saying something? Or is who's saying something? Is it her party or is it Ariel? Is it her party? No, but they're co-signing. So Ariel, he heard me asking about the tax collector. And Ariel is saying that he was here and someone was persecuting him for his. He was under persecution. There was a disagreement and someone was persecuting him for his lineage, his race, where he's from. Something along the lines of where he's from, his home, his people. It was a racial thing. Who was persecuting him for his? Does Ariel know? Very. I'm gonna say like yes. Does he tell me who? Because I know he don't want to start trouble. Does he tell me who? Someone likely. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna roll to see who it is in this census. I'm gonna roll to see who it is in this trade house that was persecuting the tax collector, or giving him a hard time. Because I want to tie conflict. I want to build something with the NPCs we have in this trade house. Already we know that there's a rivalry. So who was here? Who in here was communicating with the tax collector? I'm going to roll 1d6. 1. So that means it's going to be Albesius Cololius, who's an Imperial. And when he says that name, it kind of makes me remember that the tax collector was an Imperial, because the tax collector had a name like that. Which leads me to the next question of why would it, what kind of racial tension was it if they're both Imperials? Maybe it wasn't racial at all. It was maybe more so about persecution over that person's upbringing. Persecute. Subject to someone to hostility and ill treatment, especially because of their race or political or religious beliefs. So it could have been political or religious. And that's what Ariel pretty much confirms for me. He tells me that they were debating over politics and religion. It's one or the other, something along the lines of that. He doesn't go into detail because he doesn't want to bring it back up. But Albesius Cololius is the one that was talking with him last. Albesius Cololius. Okay. All right. I'm going to roll a d6 on my list of NPCs to see who I'm going to talk to next. In the meantime, in between these conversations and while these conversations are happening, people are walking about. They're trading, they're socializing, they're drinking. You know, the overall vibe it's pretty positive, right? Is it pretty positive? Very likely. No, but you know, it's to be expected. You know, people are drinking, they're trading. You know, what goes on in here? What are some things that I see? What are some things that I see happening in here? NPC positive, procrastinate / hope. You know, there's people trading and negotiating, and there's one person that's, you know, they are taking forever to come to a decision in hopes that the person walks away. You know, so that didn't go well because that person stormed away because, you know, he's like, man, this dude's playing. If you don't want the deal, just say you don't want the deal. But he probably did say that. So there was a little tension there. What else happened? Remote event, attract / art. You see people rush to one side of the room because there's someone who looks like they're trading some sort of art, and it has gotten people's attention from across the room. You know, that's something that happened. And then last but not least, move away from thread, celebrate / tension. Celebrate / tension. So this is moving me away from a thread. I'm going to roll to see which thread it's moving me away from. Caius Casadus, you know, my main quest, the tax collector, and getting my footing, which is, you know, what I'm doing, socializing with these people. I'm going to roll a D3 to see which one of these threads I'm moving away from it for a particular reason, because it's something that's happening. 1. So I'm moving away from Caius Casadus. Whatever's happening is moving me further away from that thread. Okay. Which means that this involves Elone. Or doesn't involve Elone. Celebrate / tension. I'm interpreting this as I'm diving deeper into what's going on with the tension that happened with the tax collector. Okay, so I'm going to actually speak with Albesius. Learn to see if I can figure out, you know, what exactly happened with that tax collector earlier today. Albesius Cololius is an Imperial and a veteran battle mage. He's currently staying at Aurel's trade house in Seyda Neen. People around Vvanderfell will tell you to speak with him if you're interested in knowing about the trade of the battle mage and how it is practiced in Morrowind. He wears common robes, pants, shoes, and a shirt, along with an incomplete set of iron armor. The greaves, the bracers, the boots, and the right pauldron. He also has a steel axe. All right. So I approach Albesius Cololius, and with a exceptional speechcraft, and I'll say the difficulty of this first impression is going to be above average, because he sounds like somebody who argues with people for people. It seems like there's a possibility that he's not a nice person, so I'm going to raise it up a bit. Exceptional versus above average, I want to greet him with a very decent greeting to make a great first impression. Am I successful? Yes. And I introduce myself as Kalanan Garpi, businessman, pilgrim, farmer.
The Nine and the Empire, citizen. If a few words can help, I'd be happy to talk.
I ask him, how does he make a living here in Seyda Neen? He probably tells me he's a battle mage. Is that all he does, though? Very likely. Yes, and event /waste /benefits. Yes, and events, waste/benefits. He tells me that as a battle mage, he makes waste of nothing and benefits from everything that he can. Hence the robe, the armor, he's well-rounded. I say, do you like sell your... Are you a sellsword? Are you a sellsword? Like you sell your services? Somewhat likely. 50-50. No. So how else do you, how do you make a living? Do you just defend the town? How do you make a living? What's he say? Starting/adversities. Yeah, so he defends the town. He's any issues that start or come up, he's there to defend any adversities to the town. And sure, he's not selling his sword to any cause, but he has lent his expertise to things. I'm going to ask him about armor styles. Because he seems to know quite a lot. So I asked him about armor styles, and he says the heavy armor style is called Legion or Knight style in the West, and Ebony style in the East, require great strength and endurance. The light armor style is called Militia in the West, and Ashlander in the East, favor speed and agility. The medium armor styles called Imperial Guard in the West and Great House in the East are compromises between the heavy and light styles, balancing protection against mobility. A few less common exotic armor types are also found in Morrowind. I say, Now I know personally, I know my way around medium armor. So I'm gonna share my knowledge about medium armor. I'm gonna bring up a topic about medium armor. So what's his, I see he wears medium armor, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll, potency to see, how adept he is in the knowledge of medium armor. Probably a lot. So depending on the roll, I might have to add something. What do we have here? Baseline average. Okay. So he's average. I'll give him a +1. So he's above average. So I'm going to share my knowledge to see if I can kind of, a conversation with a medium above average armor knowledge. His above average armor knowledge. Am I able to, share something that he doesn't know about medium armor to pique his interest? At minimum, it's a good conversation, so it's not a fail. But am I able to pique his interest with something he didn't know? Above average medium armor versus above average medium armor. Yes. Yeah. So I tell him about, some, some unfortunate situations that can occur when wearing medium armor, and there's certain leather armor, medium armors that haven't, where we've heard that people have gotten killed because of openings that can be left due to certain armors. And, I talk about some weaknesses of medium armor and why I don't wear certain types of medium armor because of any openings that could prove fatal and lethal and misfortunate. He sees like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I never heard about that. That's it's interesting. So, and he seems to want to talk, he seems to, know a lot about armors and weapons. But I'm going to ask him about any rumors. Like, hey, have you heard of any rumors going around here? And he says, did you hear that some fool lost a mentor's ring in a tomb along the Bitter Coast? Or so they say. Someone lost a mentor's ring in a tomb along the Bitter Coast. That's a shame. But what? That's a shame. But what exactly is a mentor's ring? Does he know what a mentor's ring is? Unlikely. No, and he doesn't even know who it belongs to. Does he know who it belongs to or who lost it? Somewhat unlikely. No. So there's tombs around here, huh? I'm not gonna ask him. Does he know anything about the tombs? Specifically? Unlikely. No. Well, I mean, is there anyone around here who I can ask that knows anything about the tombs? Does he point me towards the alone? Very likely. Yeah. She's a scout. Is she nice? Is she a stand-up gal? I ask. Does he think she's a stand-up gal? I'm gonna say it's 50-50. No. And how come? What's he say? Decrease / magic. She doesn't like magic. She doesn't have a high opinion on magic. And is pro no magic. And you're a battle mage, so yeah, he doesn't like that. So I say she probably has an issue with Tholvice and her scamps, doesn't she? Does she? 50-50. No, but she does think it's a little questionable. She's not a fan, but she doesn't have an issue with her per se. Just maybe not. She just doesn't really like the scams, but she doesn't have an issue with her or magic in general. Just not a fan of it. Doesn't have a high opinion of it. Who else doesn't have a high opinion of Tholvice? Does he know? 50-50. Does he tell me? With the speechcraft of exceptional, I ask, who else has an opinion about Tholvice? Difficulty above average. High versus above average. He tells me, okay. Does he tell me, does he know what's going on between Tholvice, Othralen, and Raflod or Raflod? Does he know about that? Or does he show any signs that he may know? Somewhat likely. Yeah. Does he tell me anything about it? 50-50. Somewhat likely. Yeah. Well, what does he know about their beef? Recruit / realities. It's hard. He says he hears in rumors that Raflod recruits people secretly to harass people and keep them away from her. He hires people and they employ antics to get people to drive business away from her. But it's hard to really know if that's the truth, if that's the reality, because of how he recruits them. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell if they're just hassling her and bothering her customers, and it's hard to tell if they're really affiliated with Raflod. But it's very odd activity. So I asked him, I say, where do you draw the line between getting involved with matters? Because you're a defender of town. Where do you kind of get involved? Where do you draw the line? What's he say? Pursue / a vehicle. He says he pursues matters that interest him and that, matter to him, so that he's not used as a vehicle for hate. So he's not used as a vehicle of retaliation. I asked him, is it a possibility that the person he was heard shouting at earlier was a potential recruit of Raflod, knowing that it's not, but letting him know that I know what happened with him and the tax collector. Does he respond negatively? 50-50. No. What does he say? Activity / opulence. He says that that person is a tax collector, and he's always around here up to no good. Bothering people about their money and collecting money, opulence, and always has an opinion on what people are purchasing and hounding them, counting their pockets, hounding them because they owe money, and no one it affects business around here. He had to drive them away. It affects business around here. People don't really want to spend when the tax collector is in the building, so he had to drive them away. And also, the tax collector is just not a nice person. Is the tax collector not a nice person? Somewhat likely. Yeah, he's not a nice person. Okay. Using a speechcraft of high, I asked him, is that all that it is? Is that all that it is? Speechcraft of exceptional. I'm gonna say the difficulty of this is above average because I'm trying to convince him to tell me something personal. Is that all that it is? It's nothing religious or political. Is that all that it is? Yeah, that's all that it is. Barely though. I'm looking for that tax collector. Have you seen him since from earlier, or do you know where he's gone since then? Does he know? Unlikely. Well, 50-50. Yes. He tells me that he probably went to the lighthouse, because apparently there's a lighthouse. He tells me that he's going to a lighthouse because there's someone that he dates lives in a lighthouse. Is what he says. Okay. So he's probably at the lighthouse. Okay. Hey, by chance, I asked him what kind of magic does he know. He's a battle mage, right? I know a couple things myself, but I want to know if he knows anything. I think this is going to be an opportunity for me to build on my history as to why I know these particular skills. For example, for some reason I know illusion magic and restoration magic. And with my background, I would like to think that I was some sort of illusion is that goes perfect with what my character does. Do I use illusion magic? Am I from was I in a small thievings guild and we use illusion as a form of deception? Then I have restoration too, so fortifying, probably used fortification as a way of deception as well. So I asked him, what type of magic does he know? Does he share that with me? Very likely. No, but he gives me a hint. Okay. He gives me a hint. Intelligence, average, intuition, above average. Alright, using my intuition of above average, I'm going to say the hint he gives me is an above average hint. Am I able to get the hint of what type of magic he's using, or what type of magic he's proficient with? Exceptional, yes. Aside from his natural charm and ability to absorb fatigue from others, he knows the following spells: Burden, Great Open, Strong Open, Wild Open, Unduces on Open Door, Shield, Saintly Touch, Grave Curse, Health, Wild Shock Bloom. So he knows a little bit of destruction, but he looks like he knows mainly alteration. But his hint is something along the line. So let me see. What is his hint based off? Hint. He said release/ambush. His hint is kind of like a combination of him talking about how he knows some alteration magic to release locks and something. He says it in a poetic way, and I say, oh, you know a little thing about the school of alteration and destruction. What does he say? Persecute/the innocent. He says he uses these abilities to protect the innocent. So while I was talking to him, what was happening around us, in the ambiance of this tavern trade house, what happened? PC negative. Violate/pleasures. So someone comes up to me, violating my personal space, offering a drink. Is it a male or female? Is it a male? 50-50. No, it's a female. Is it Elone? Likely. Yes. Elone is a Redguard scout and a journeyman in the Blades. I don't know that. She could be found at Aura's trade house in Seyda Neen. As a scout in Vvanderfell, Elone is a good resource for information about various locations, as well as good directions to these locales. Ask her about Balmora and she'll write you up some directions. She is one of the blade traders that Caius Casadus will recommend you to, and if you ask her about it, she will give you a free copy of Guide to Vvanderfell. I paid 100 gold for that. Elone wears a netch leather cuirass and a variety of common clothing, including a skirt, pants, shoes, skirt, and belt. Or shirt and skirt. She also carries a steel broadsword. Her duties consist of learning about Vvanderfell while keeping an eye on travelers passing through the Seyda Neen. She also offers medium. She says, hello, my name is Elone. Scout is my trade. I'd be happy to share a little advice or Morrowind lore. Do you need directions? Pelagiad, Balmora, Caldera, Ebonheart, Vivek? Want a drink? And she offers me a drink. I actually will accept. I will accept that drink. Is the drink in her hand right now?
I think you're going to fit right in here, friend.
50-50. No. I accept her embrace, her outgoingness, and I walk. I respond with the same, and I walk over. I lead her over to the bar. I tell her, "Hey, come sit. I'm glad I heard about you. I was actually gonna come find you. You're the person RL recommended I come talk to you. I bought this book off of him for 100 gold.
What did I do to deserve this honor?"
And he said that you're a living version of this book. What does she say about this book that I just told her I bought for 100 gold? Intolerance/suffering. She makes a joke about how she finds it hard to tolerate how people get over on each other trade-wise in here, and how those who allow themselves to or not up to snuff with their trade ability, they suffer, which is kind of an attack on me, because I am supposed to be a good trader, but I let him sell that to me for 100. But he got really mad when I offered. I think I offered 10 gold first. But maybe that was just a tactic. I got a lot to learn from RL. I laugh about it. We laugh about it. I do ask her about the geography of Morrowind, just to start the conversation, just to get it going. And she says most of Morrowind's people live in the high hills and richer river valleys of central Morrowind, especially around the inland sea. The rocky coast and islands of northeast Morrowind has a few small settlements. Western and south central Morrowind is mountainous with a few settlements, and southeast Morrowind is flat, wet, and warm like Blackmarsh. Morrowind sits on the northeast of Tamriel, to the northeast of the Sea of Ghosts. To the west is Skyrim, southwest is Cyrodiil, and Blackmarsh is to the south.
So how are your travels? Anything I can do to help?
I ask her about Balmora. She writes up something and puts it on paper. She writes something on paper and hands it to me. She says Balmora is the district street of House Lalu, and the largest settlement on Vvanderfell after Vivek City. Good roads lead north from here to Balmora, passing through Fort Pelagiad and Pelagiad Village. From Balmora, road leads north to Aldrun through the town of Caldera. Maybe I'd better write down the directions to Balmora for you. It's a long walk and a little confusing. She's writing it down and I'm like, all right, just repeat that one more time. And she says, all right, I'll repeat what I said, but pay attention. Balmora is the district seat of House Halu and the largest settlement on Vvanderfell after Vivek City. Good roads lead north from here to Balmora, passing Fort Pelagiad and Pelagiad Village. From Balmora, roads lead north to Aldrun through the town of Caldera. All right, so just you take the road north from here, and that'll get me to Balmora. But yeah, give me those instructions. Thank you. I ask her if there's anything I should know about Half-Rod or Raflod. Is there anything about Raflod that she knows? Somewhat likely. No. And she says she doesn't know anything nothing in particular about him. Seems like a normal person. I ask her, is there anything around here that I should, any advice or anything around Seyda Neen other than this beautiful trade house? Is there anything else I should know about? Likely. Yes. Does she tell me? Very likely. Okay, so this is something that she thinks I should know about. So we'll pretend that I introduced myself and told her a little bit about myself, what I do. I'm a farmer, I'm a pilgrim. I'm interested in, curiosities and wonders. Is there anything like that is what I'm asking about. Anything I should know about because of my occupation. And does she tell me? Very likely. She does. What is it that I should know about? A secret entrance. A secret entrance to where? Separate/jealousy. So there's a location that only people that can enter this secret entrance are people who are not jealous of this particular, maybe a particular faction or a person. Is it a faction, or is it a person? Likely. Yes, and event triumph/wounds. There's another trade house, another place of business that I should know about. Only people that are allowed there are people who are not friends with Auril. This Spike trade house is a trade house that was only built out of jealousy of Auril and what he has going on. This is the same person or trade house that Argonian was shouting about, where he said, I'm not going to shop here anymore. I'm going to shop at this place. There was a dispute. There was a fight. There was a conflict between Auril and this person in the past. In fact, this wasn't always called Auril's trade house. This used to be called Auril and this other person trade house. But then there was a spat. There was some conflict. Auril triumphed. This other person was wounded, and out of jealousy separated himself and started at his own trade house, and not everyone is allowed in there. But she feels this is a place I should know about, being that I'm new around here and that I wouldn't be totally restricted from going here, because apparently I'm not considered someone who is a close affiliate of Aura, at least not yet. Who is this other person? Is it another high elf? Is it another highborn? Is it another Altmer? Very likely. I'm gonna say likely. Yeah. And is it a relative? Very likely. Is it Auril's sister? Very likely. Her name is going to be, I'm going to pick the third one after I roll this. 1, 2, 3. Minsara. Auril and Minsara's trade house is what it used to be called. Is Minsara's trade house in Seyda Neen? Unlikely. No, but it's nearby. The secret is that you can't be friends with Auril. I asked her if she can mark it on my map. Does she mark it on my map? 50-50. Or likely. Yeah. Does Auril know about this? Yeah, he has to, right? Does Auril know about this? Very likely. Yes, but he doesn't like to talk about it. Probably doesn't want people to know about it. I asked alone, have you ever shopped there? Did she answer me? Likely. Yeah. Does she say yes? 50-50. Yes, and with a above average intuition. I'm gonna say the difficulty of this is low. Is she telling the truth? Can I tell if she's telling the truth? No, I can't tell.
I don't want any part of this, whatever it is.
I'm actually gonna head to that lighthouse before it gets too late. I'm gonna come back to this trade house. I'll probably be sleeping here, but I'm gonna head to the lighthouse. I need to talk to Raflod. Is Raflod here right now? Very likely. I asked her, can you point me towards Raflod? Does she point me to Raflod? Very likely. Yes, and she introduces me to Raflod. She introduces me to Raflod. In fact, I'm going to bring a drink over. I'm gonna have a drink served for Raflod. And with the speechcraft of exceptional, I introduce myself to Raflod and try to make the best first impression as possible. With an exceptional speechcraft versus the difficulty of average, am I able to make an impression on, I'm gonna say above average, because who knows what his temperament is like. Am I able to make a good impression on Raflod? Yes. So what does Raflod look like? Raflod the Braggart is a Nord scout. That's why she knows him. Is a Nord scout and is a wet ear for the Thieves Guild. Raflod the Braggart can be found at Aura's trade house at Seyda Neen. He offers medium training and medium armor and minor training in long blade and block. He is wearing a common shirt, pants, and shoes and carries a steel broadsword and a small amount of gold. So I bring a drink over to Raflod the Braggart, and he takes it, and I introduce himself. She introduces me to him as a pilgrim farmer, new here in Morrowind. What does he say? Betray/dreams. He says never betray. He gives me some kind of advice. Never betray. And turn your back on your dreams to become a farmer here in Tamriel, or here in Vvanderfell. And then he says, if I recommend you go anywhere first to start your farm, you have to visit. Speaking of earthly delights, farmer, he says you have to visit the Tavern of Earthly Delights in Saran. I ask him, what is that? What does he tell me? He says the Lisa's House of Earthly Delights is a tavern in Saran offering special entertainment. Hilvain Delisi, or Desil, is the owner of and proprietor of this gentleman's club in Saran. A gentleman's club in Saran. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. What can he tell me about himself? I ask him about himself. I say, what do you do? Does he tell me that he's a scout? Very likely. Yes, and does he tell me that he's in the Thieves Guild? Unlikely. No. But with an intuition of above average in my conversation so far, was I able to extrapolate anything that could potentially lead me to believe that he is kind of shady? Do I notice anything shady about him? I'm gonna say the difficulty of this is probably high. With an above average intuition, do I notice anything shady about him? No. So he tells me he's a scout. So, oh, yeah, I was talking with Elone here. Matter of fact, Elone is still here. We're all three of us are having a conversation here. And I share all the great advice that she was giving me. I don't bring up the trade house. I don't bring up Minsar's trade house. But I just talk about how I've spent my time here so far and what I like, and then I go on to bring up I like that everyone here has something going for them and they have their own little thing. And then I bring up Tolvice. With the above average intuition, do I notice any change in his disposition? With above average intuition versus the difficulty of average, do I notice it? Do I notice anything? Yes. Does he say anything after I bring up Tolvice? Very likely. Yes. What's he say? Block/plans. He shares his opinion that someone needs to stop her from monopolizing the market of plants in the Ascadian Isles, the southern Ascadian Isles. Those scamps. So I ask him, I say, do you deal? Do you also deal in these plants? Does he also deal in like these plants? Very likely. Yeah. Do you make medicine? I say, oh, that's interesting. What do you do with what do you do with the plants? Does he tell me? Likely. Yeah. Does he lie to me about what he does with the plants? Very likely. Yeah. He's in the thief, so I would say that the difficulty of his lie is probably going to be above average. Let me see how well of a liar he is, actually. I'm gonna roll potency. More. Okay, so it's probably a high lie. So he's trying to hit me with a lie. It's gonna be my above average intuition. Is my above average intuition able to see through his lie? Yes. So he tells me what he does with the plants, and I'm gonna roll alchemy because I have an alchemy skill. It's a low skill, but it's average. From what I know about alchemy and versus what he's saying he's doing, I'll say average. Am I able to spot a flaw in a lie just based off my knowledge of the plants and what plants are typically capable of, and what he's saying he's doing, because he doesn't know I have a background in alchemy. Am I able to notice anything that's off about his lie? Yes. So his lie, he says something. What's he say? Imprison/fame. He says that, yeah, there's a lot of plants around here that he collects and sells them, is like he has like a plant museum. But I know based off of the plants that I've seen on her table, and she had all the plants, she had all the local resources. Those plants have to be used. They will die outside of their soil. And they're ugly. They're ugly plants. They're not things that you would sell and display in some sort of museum or collection or something like that. So it seems odd. It don't really add up. And I say, oh. Well, I say if that's the case, then yeah, that's not fair that, you know, this sorcerer is using this dark magic to summon Daedra to do her bidding. With the speechcraft of exceptional. I say, yeah, it's not right. I throw my fake opinion out there. How does it hit? Exceptional, yes. And he's like, is he like, yeah, like I absolutely, does he agree with what I'm saying? Like calling her a sorcerer and that it's not unfair? Very likely. Exceptional, yes. He's like, yeah, especially when you put it that way. I never even really thought of it that way. She's a sorcerer summoning Daedra to put us out of work. And I say, well, you know, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. And I pull him to the side. I say, alone. Thank you so much. Let me talk to this guy. Does Alone go off and do her thing? Very likely. Yeah. I say, well, have you thought of anything on how to deal with this? Because I'm looking to get established here, and I may want to get into the market of, you know, using those resources, but I don't want to have to fight off Scamp by myself. Have you thought of anything on how we could handle that? Does he kind of spill the beans on what, you know, his little operation with the thugs that he hires? Somewhat likely. Yeah. Does he tell me everything? Likely. Yeah. He says, well, I've been working, you know, when they're out there, you know, I have some men go out there and, you know, we've been able to take out some of those scamps, but she's always able to summon more, but we've been taking them out and we've been able to scavenge for our own and get our own resources. I've even gone as far as to hiring people to pester those who were shopping at her for her wares, spread bad rumors in the town. And, you know, I have my methods. I have some contacts that help me kind of, you know, spread some misinformation, because we got to get her out of here. I know it's what she's doing is wrong, and we got to get her out of here. I say, oh. I asked him, what do you sell? I don't see any of your merchandise. Does he have any merchandise out? Somewhat likely. No. So I asked him, I said, what, you know, where's your resources? Where's your wares? Does he lie to me? Exceptional, no. He tells me that he doesn't conduct his business here anymore. He tells me he's recently moved his stuff somewhere else. And I'm thinking in my head, it might be that other trade house. Does he say that he's thinking of not doing business here anymore? Likely. Yeah. He goes on to tell me that, you know, out of respect of Auril, they take a lot of their beef outside of the trade house, but it's annoying to face her every day, knowing how much he hates her and her practices. Well, I asked him, like, have you talked to Auril about it? Has he talked to Auril about it? 50-50. Yes. And what did Auril disagree with him? No. What did Auril say? Release/failure. He says for them to release it, he said for him to let it go because without her business, there's a possibility that they could fail. And that doesn't sound fair. But Ariel's probably looking at it from the standpoint of income and all the people that she can draw there. And I agree. I see the same potential. But it's hard to look at him and like, what is he doing? He's probably selling and stuff on the black market. He's probably refining those resources into drugs or something sneaky that involves just the Thieves Guild. I don't know. I don't really care, but she's making the most of it. What is he doing? You know? I tell him that I'm willing to help. I tell him I'm willing to help. I have an idea, but we can't talk about it here. I ask him to follow me. I ask him to follow me outside. Does he follow me outside? Very likely. We go outside, we walk down the steps, we go kind of under the deck, under the trade house. And I say, yo. With a high-ranked hand-to-hand skill, I grab him by his throat and squeeze as hard as I can. High versus, we'll say, his average reflex. I'll give him a -1 for this being a sneak and him not expecting it. I grab him by his throat. High versus average -1. Am I able to successfully grab him by his throat? Yes. I'm going to say +2 because it's on the soft spot of his throat. I begin to squeeze and I want it to hurt. I want to squeeze the air out of it. I want to choke him. So my strength +2 versus his toughness, we'll say is average. Am I successful? Yes. Like this. And I'm gonna push him up against the and I say, if I find out that you were causing trouble under Ariel's trade house roof, hiring people to take business away from Tholvice Oran, I will rip your slimy, ashiam swallowing, swamp marsh inhaling, air breathing ass. I will choke the common pants off of your ass. I will rip your throat right out of the back of your neck. Am I able to intimidate him?
End your fight. I am leaving.
High +2. I hold it a little bit longer for more damage, and I want to do more damage to his throat. But I don't want to knock him out. I'm going for non-lethal here, but I want to choke him until he starts to pass out a little bit. Am I successful? Yeah. And then I throw him down into the mud. Do I successfully throw him down into the mud? Very likely. Yeah. And I look down on him like real sinister, like this.
End your fight. I am leaving.
And I turn and walk away slowly. I walk up to this massive lighthouse, and I think to myself, no one can possibly live here. Not this lighthouse. But we'll see. It's late, but we'll see. I got time. I knock on the lighthouse door. Does anyone answer? Yes. So a Dunmer woman comes to the door. Viveri Vidrano is a dark elf commoner who lives in the lighthouse in Seyda Neen. Thaver is the girlfriend of the local missing tax collector, Processus Vitellius. She wears a common robe and matching shoes and pants. While the lighthouse is probably not hers, she does live and own all the stuff there. I greet her with a speechcraft
What do you want?
of exceptional. She's probably a little distraught. She looks a little distraught, so I'm going to say the difficulty is above average. I greet her with a great first impression, and I introduce myself as someone who is looking to find a missing person's named Processus. Does it work? Am I able to successfully greet her? Yeah. And what does she respond? How does she respond to what I said? Does she respond negatively? Somewhat unlikely. No. What'd she say? Inform/joy. She informs me that she's enjoyed by the fact that I'm actually searching. No one has given her any updates, or no one has shown any interest in finding Processus. And I think I know why. Because he's not a liked person. He's collecting taxes at a trade house. People don't like him.
I wish they would start.
Okay. I asked her if I can, if she minds if I come in. Does she let me in? Very likely.
Sure. I got time. Let's talk.
I'm expecting to see a normal lighthouse, kind of junky, not too impressive. Not out of the ordinary. Is that what I run into? New scene. Interrupt scene. NPC negative. NPC action. Starting/environment. NPC negative. The only NPC in this situation is her. NPC action. Starting/environment. She starts crying. She's very distraught. She starts bawling. And she says that when I see starting, the last time I heard starting was when the battle mage nearby was saying that when issues come up. So something came up in the environment, this town. They started, pretty much no one in the town liked him, and some beefs got started. Everyone in the town started to dislike Processus because he was such a good tax collector and he was very successful. And that's what started this beef in this town. And then now he's missing. With the speechcraft of exceptional, I want to console her and tell her that I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to find you closure. And he's only been missing for some hours now. So, whereas in the original game it was a couple of days, but that person said they saw him that day. So as long as if I can get on this, I'll get on this. Now I'm evil, and I am only doing this because I want to get favor with Ergala. And this is just diplomacy. I don't actually care. But with an exceptional speechcraft, am I able to console her successfully? I'm gonna say it's easy too. Exceptional versus below average. Yes.
You were very brave. Walk in the light in the spirits' names. In faith, I'm listening.
But I have questions. I asked her about Processus Vitellius. Like, what was the last time you seen him? She said she saw him today, but it wasn't right. It wasn't recently. It was probably in the morning. Was it in the morning? Very likely. Yeah. He probably stayed the night. They probably had he probably stayed the night, woke up, went to work, Was there anything worth mentioning about him? And she says, yeah. She says that she saw him, he seemed angry. And I say, angry? She says, well, not even angry. I suppose I saw him arguing once with foreign Gilnith about his taxes. He thought processes had been laying too much and skimming off the top for himself. Ridiculous. Processes wouldn't have done such a thing. I'm sure of it. I haven't heard about him doing anything like that. I just know people don't like him. If only he had ... And she pauses. She then says, please find out what happened, friend. And if you find out what became of Process's ring, it would ease my heart. A ring? She says, yeah, I gave him the ring many months ago, and it was dear to him. I would like to remember him by. Why do people think he has no integrity? What does she say? Usurp/art. She says because he's a natural at his job. It's in his name. and people want to usurp him from his position. He's very renowned, and Ergala respects him a lot because he's so good at his job. And Filion, or whatever his name is, doesn't care for him. Foreign. What does she know about foreign other than what she's told me so far? Is there anything she can tell me about foreign other than what she's told me? Likely, or somewhat likely. Yeah. Okay. What can you tell me about foreign? Inform / a representative. He's a representative of, he's one of the biggest representatives of people who dislike him. He's the one that's always informing or slandering his name, Processius' name, with these lies. And I say, and I don't want to sound accusatory, but I ask with the speechcraft to lay it on light as I can. Can you say for certain that Processus hasn't been involved in anything illegal? I'm gonna say the difficulty of this is high because we're talking about her baby. Am I able to ask that question without offending her? Yeah. And does she say that she's certain that he would never do anything illegal? She's probably going to say, no, he would never, right? Likely. Yeah. Well, if he's not in town, where else would he be? Who would have seen him last? Does she point towards foreign? Likely. Yeah. Is foreign in town? Likely. Yeah. I tell her I'm gonna go get to the bottom of this.
It's terrible. Terrible. I'm so worried.
Where can you point me to where foreign is? Can she point me where the foreign is? Likely. Yeah, okay. So I find myself standing in front of a small single room shack over beside this on the southern part of Seyda Neen, in this little circle of shacks by the marsh. And I'm standing in front of a shack that belongs to apparently foreign Gilnith. I knock on the door. Does anyone answer? Somewhat likely. Yeah. So foreign is a dark elf commoner in the common shirt, pants, and shoes, belt. I greet him like I greet everyone I see. Communication is everything. With an exceptional speechcraft, I think this is probably going to be high difficulty if this person is as miserable as he seems, or from what I've heard. I'm going to greet him with an exceptional greeting versus a difficulty, we'll say above average. Am I able to success? I'm a stranger. I'll say above average +1. Am I able to successfully greet him? Give a good first impression? Yes. Random event NPC action abuse/prison. He says something snarky, as in like my company, my appearance is making his jail sentence in this miserable town even worse. He says something along the lines of, "Did you come here to abuse me even more? To make my time here in this hellhole, even in this hellhole of a prison shack, even worse." That was my dark elf laugh. Outlander.
I have no time for you, Red God.
I make reference to getting off of the boat. I say, "This beats rocking on the seas. I would kill for a place to lay my head that doesn't sway." Does he buy that? Speechcraft exceptional versus above average. Yes. What does he say next? Break/illusions. So he says, let's get past all of the what do you call it? The pleasantries. What do you want?
Talk if you're talking.
I tell him that I am here. I ask him, are you foreign Gilneth? He says yes. Who's asking? Who's asking? Who's asking? I tell him that I am looking for. I'm asking him if he's seen Processus. I was told that he was the last person that spoke or may know where Processus Valenius is. And when I ask that question with an intuition of above average, do I notice any telltale signs on his face to the name? I'm going to say above average versus average. Do I notice anything? Exceptional, yes. Can I get a description of what this reaction looks like? Ceaselessly/lame. He looks like he has no care in the world for this person. So when I bring up Processus's name, what does he say?
Mind your own business.
That fetcher? He's probably dead somewhere, is what he says. And I say, dead? Dead how? And he says, killed. That's right. I say, killed? Like, who could have killed him? He says, I did him in. A good thing. Trust me. A good thing. He was skimming a load of money from all of us, honest people, overcharging us on our taxes and keeping the difference for himself. He was always flaunting his money around, showing off his new clothes and jewels. So I killed the bastard and left his body out there to rot with all of his ill-begotten gold still on him. I heard he's not a good person, so I actually believe what he's saying.
Out of our mouths, truth, Sarah.
I say, what proof do you have that he's been skimming money off of the top? What proof do you have? Does he have proof? Somewhat likely. 50-50. No. What does he say? Recruit/the weather. Recruit/weather. He says, no matter the season, he always has money. That always seems to be based off of how much was gouged from us. He gouges us and then somehow he ends up with better jewels across all year around, all season. And they've even gone as far as he's recruited people to also keep an eye on this activity to see if it's just him. And other people would say the same. So I say, so you don't have proof. You're just basing this off of his jewelry and wealth. What's he say? Heal/food. He said it doesn't matter. I don't have to prove it to you. I'm already healed. I'm already over it. My heart is not hurt no more. My heart is healed over it. And I'll have more food in my belly. I like this guy. He's willing to kill somebody. I tell him, I can respect that. I can respect that. I believe what you say. And I won't say anything to the authorities. And he says, well, it's the truth. They've all been gouging us for years. The whole office is corrupt, I tell you. One of these days, they'll get exposed. I swear it. Sounds like a Morrowind recall mission to me. Here, though, this was his ring. Looks like his woman gave it to him. She should probably have it. She wasn't to blame in all this. I take the ring. Just at a glance, what is this ring and how valuable does this ring? Just at a glance. It doesn't look too special. What do I know? I tell him that I can respect his decision. It's hard out here and we don't need people like that holding us down. Every day and night we slave to make gold, we slave to make coin, just to have someone come take it from us. I tell him that I'm new here and there's going to be some changes in Seyda Neen. And I'm going to get to the bottom of the corruption of the Excise office. But in the meantime, I want you to keep your belly full. I toss him 5 gold. I toss him 5 gold. And I say that we'll be in contact because I need people like you who are willing to do what is necessary to ensure your survival, because we all got to survive out here. And with an exceptional speechcraft on top of that. As I pander to him, does it seem to work? Exceptional versus average. Exceptional, yes. I asked him, can he point me in a specific direction of where he laid the body? Does he show me? Very likely. I go into that direction. It's not too far from here. I go in that direction with an intuition of above average, and I'm going to say I'm going to give myself a +2 because he's giving me specific directions. I'm going to say the difficulty is above average, finding him is precisely where he is. But am I able to locate the body of Processus? Exceptional, yes. I'm expecting to see a body and nothing else around it. Is that what happens? Altered scene. So something is different. Is there anything near his body? Like a creature or something? Somewhat likely. Yes. Is it a mud crab? Likely. Exceptional, yes. Is it a big mud crab? Very likely. Yeah. Is it more than one mud crab? Likely. Yeah. So I approach and I see the body. Processes, but there's like 3 big ass mud crabs near there. And I don't. you saw my pop quiz. I'm leaving. I don't even let bears off the trap. I'm not messing with no mud crabs. I got a dagger. And I ain't punching shells today. It's a shame. It's a shame that Processus was killed by mud crabs. I'm gonna have to let Argala know. I'll let Argala know tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go ahead and let Processus's girlfriend know what his fate was. It's a shame. So I go to Fervir Vedrano. I knock on the door. It's a little bit later now. It's a little bit later. But I know she's awake because she can't sleep. She's torn. Does she answer the door? Likely. Very likely.
Well, what's going on?
So my objective is going to be to deliver this information. And this is more so just a test of skill to me. I'm going to lie. But I want to see if I can deliver this information without obliterating her heart. With the speechcraft of exceptional. And I'm going to say the difficulty of this is going to be exceptional. Because this is all very new. Am I able to successfully tell her the bad news in a way that will not completely destroy her? Exceptional versus exceptional. So I approach her and I tell her, Processus, I found Processus's body, dead, killed by mud crabs on the coast of the Ascadian Isles. She says, no. Tell me it isn't. No. Tell me it isn't so. Tell me it's not so. He was the gentlest man I've ever met. He and I have become so close in the past few months. I don't know what I would do without him. I've only ever seen him get angry once or twice. But never raised a hand at anyone. This is so sad. I still can't believe he's gone. She's taking it hard, but not as bad as it could have been. Imagine if I didn't get the exceptional yes. She doesn't have closure. She should have closure. She's fucked up. She's all fucked up. It's okay though, because I'm gonna brighten her day. I'm gonna brighten her day. I show her the ring. I tell her to sit down, and I console her. I rub her back. I tell her to sit down, and I say, Favor, I was able to fend off those mud crabs, and I found this inside of the mud crab's jaws. I need to roll a lie check because I've been lying. For the mud crab lie, was I able to pull that off? I'm gonna use my speechcraft to lie. So exceptional. She's gonna believe me. I'm gonna give myself a +1. I'm gonna say the difficulty is low. This is easy. She has to believe me. She has no reason not to. Does she believe me about the mud crab lie? Absolutely. I show her the ring and I say, I found this near one of the mud crabs. I fended it off and I got the ring back. I give her the ring. She says, oh, you found the ring I gave him. Thank you so much, Kalanan Garpy. It's good to have something to remember him by, though I'll never see him again. Here, take this. He usually traveled with the couple when he was doing his job, but he didn't this time. He didn't this last time. If only he had. She hands me 2 standard restore health potions. Thank you again for returning it to me. Okay, I'll take that. I put them in my satchel. I rub her back more. And I say thank you. And I let her know that she doesn't have to do it. I'll let the town know. I'll let the town know about the news. And then I leave. I head into Ariel's trade house. Hey, Ariel. I got 90 gold. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But I think I have 90 gold. I say, Ariel, it's getting late. I want your best room. Come on, man. Hook me up. I need some privacy. I need some privacy too. With the mercantile of high, I want to bargain for the best room at a good price. So mercantile of high versus his high. I want a plus. He should give me a +1. We're boys. It's my boy, right? +1. Am I able to get the best room for a very, very good price? Yes. So he has rooms under the trade house, and he doesn't give them out often. You have to be someone who comes and goes often. His room is right next to it. It's a guest room. It's a guest room. You didn't know about it because no one ever got as cool with Ariel like I'm cool with Ariel. This was in the original Morrowind game, but it was behind the coding. It's like, but this is like a personal guest room that he has that he will lend out to people. How much? 20. I'm gonna be staying. I plan on staying for a while. So 25 gold for 2 nights. 25 gold, 2 nights. Does he accept that? High versus high. High +1 versus high. Damn it, Ariel. Ariel is such a... Alright. What's he want? 30 gold? What's he want? 35 gold? Somewhat likely. Alright. 30 gold. My high versus his high. 30 gold. Okay. 30 gold. Thank you. Thank you, Ariel. Alright, and I take the room. Settle in. I'm going to take off my really nice robe that I bought from Ariel earlier today. I didn't really get good night's sleep on the boat, so tonight's going to be a very important resting period for me. How does this room look? I'm expecting a nice bed, very simple, nothing too crazy. Maybe a nice one of those nice blue lanterns that Morrowind had. Nice blue lantern. That's what I'm expecting to see in this room. Is that what I'm getting? What I'm running into? Is that what I get? Clear this out. Is that what I get? Yeah. Yeah. How would this room? How would I? At a glance, what does this room look like? Irritatingly interesting. Irritatingly / interesting. There's some things about it that are irritating, but it's an interesting blue lamp here. Very simple. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to go to sleep and meditate on what I've learned. Now, the way I'm going to handle leveling is whenever I have a skill that really makes an impact on my adventure, I'm going to ask to see if I can level up in that skill. I'm going to meditate on what I've learned. And I know personally, speechcraft has been leveraged a lot. I know mercantile was too, but speechcraft I had some clutch exceptional results. It's always going to have to be an exceptional result too. but I had some clutch exceptional results. Critical successes with speechcraft. So I'm going to ask the question. I want to meditate on what I've learned. My skill of exceptional speechcraft, does that skill rise to incredible? So it's going to be exceptional versus incredible. That's how you tell if your skill levels up. You have to put your current rank versus the rank it will be. And then I would give myself bonuses depending on different modifiers that I would want to add. So for example, does the ability increase by 1 rank shift? This is Mythic RPG. Treat gaining new ability the same as increasing an existing one. Instead, it goes from non-existent to weak. So it's going to be the acting rank, the most closely related attribute. Oh, it's the most closely related attribute of this ability versus the difficulty rank of the new rank that the ability would be. So the most closely related attribute to my speechcraft is my intelligence. My intelligence is only average. Actually, I'm going to say above average. Intuition is what governs my speechcraft, because I use, I'm thinking, I'm playing mind games, I'm looking into people, I'm using people's what I collect from them, I'm intimidating them, I'm using what I know about them to navigate through these conversations. So it is intelligence, but it's more primal, it's more out of fear. So my intuition on knowing what levers to pull, what buttons to press. So that's why I say intuition. So it's going to be my above average intuition versus incredible. Above average intuition versus incredible. Does my speechcraft go up from my experience? Does it become incredible? No. No. That's okay. I had some experiences, and in order to ask these questions again, I need to be able to justify asking these questions again. And that was a very eventful day in terms of using my speechcraft. But I go to sleep, get a nice. Am I able to get a good night's rest without any interruptions? Yes. It's the next morning, and my eyes open in my bed, and I am immediately thinking about what my next goal is going to be. I want to gain a footing in Seyda Neen. This is going to be a base for me, and I'm going to use Auril, and I'm going to manipulate Auril into learning everything I can from him. And then eventually I want to use his trade house as a way to conduct business. I might even start some criminal activity under his nose, but if I can't get him on board, I'll have to get him out of here. But I also am quite surprised to hear that the excise and consensus office, whatever it's called, the excise office is corrupt. I can use that information to blackmail or extort whoever's corrupt in there if it's true. Or I can potentially employ these people and get these people to work for me, and the excise office becomes mine. Either way, it's going to be me taking it over and whatever it entails, whatever that entails, or getting them out of there using the information that I learn. So the excise office is now on my list of things that I want to look into and potentially take over. I need to go tell Ergala about processes as well. And Auril apparently has a rival that he doesn't want anyone to know about. I'm curious to learn what leverage do they have? What are they trading over there? Maybe I can start a war between the two and take over both. Or maybe Minsara is the rightful owner of Auril's trade house. They had a conflict that ended up with her being wounded. Did he attack her? Did he kick her out? Is she the bad guy? Was she in the wrong? Where's Auril? I don't know. But I'll figure it out. Seyda Neen's going to be mine. It's just a matter of time.